Gretchen and I meet for coffee every now and again, and I've been talking about writing a piece for the CSO, the Christchurch Symphony Orchestra, and we agreed that this year could be a good time to do it. I've always liked the viola. The viola, to me, is an instrument which seems to be in the human voice range, and it's got not only a deep, rich sound in its lower register, but it's also quite tense in its higher register. The cello, I think, can get a bit boomy and muddy down the bottom end of its register. So for a cello concerto, I think the temptation would be to write the majority of it up on the A string, which of course is really nice. But with the viola, it's got the full range, which can change in intensity and change in timbre. It's a wee bit, it doesn't project quite as well, but it's got a wonderful, wonderful tone. My previous work for viola and orchestra came out of a series of pieces that the NZSO put on, where one of the members of the orchestra was a soloist and the rest of the orchestra backed it up. So I wrote a piece called Forgotten Memories, and Vivian Yendall played that. Oh, Serenity's absolutely fantastic. I taught her in a very advanced counterpoint class going some years back, maybe 10, even more years back. And I didn't know her very well, but I've heard her play a number of times and thought that she had a wonderful tone, played with a lot of precision. So I was really thrilled to play it for her, and the most extraordinary thing was that she played the entire half-hour piece from memory, which is an extraordinary feat. I can imagine perhaps the first and the second movements being able to be done quite easily from memory, but the third movement is rather random in places, and the fact that she managed to memorize that was just extraordinary. And she played with a lot of precision and passion, and it was an extraordinary performance. I was very fortunate to write for her, I think. And she was fantastic to work with. We met a number of times and talked about how high the instrument could go and the various harmonics, whether it would be better to have natural harmonics or fingered harmonics. So it was fantastic. The pieces in 3 movements. The first movement goes through a number of different motives, and it has a sort of calling motive, which the horns do off stage right at the end. They interplay with the viola. The viola's non-vibrato at that stage. So there's this calling sort of, I'm looking for you, where are you? There's nothing particular about that other than the fact that I really, really enjoy that motive, and it sort of is quite childlike at heart and brings back memories of calling for people in deep forests and that sort of thing. But there's no other extra musical idea. The second movement is, of course, the slow one, and there I try to use the full range of not only the viola but also the orchestra. And the last movement is very frenetic and uses changes of timbre very abruptly. And that was the idea of the piece, this last movement, I guess. I've always enjoyed having a family of ideas and then having an odd man out. In the third movement, there seems to be lots of odd men out at the end. And one sort of expects things, but different things occur. And I think that's a wonderful device for a composer to use. To be a finalist in the SOUNZ Contemporary Award is just, it's an amazing feeling. And when I got the email, I didn't actually read all of it. I just read the first part and thought, wow, fantastic. Luckily, I read the rest of it later because I then learned that I had to be really quiet about it. Just to be a finalist and be part of it is absolutely fantastic. I think I'm very fortunate in that I've got a job, a position at a university, which enables me to spend a little bit of time writing music. But I mean, while I'm very, very fortunate in that, it also has some pressures. In other words, you've been given this job, and there's also then an expectation that you will do well and produce work of substance. So in some ways, being a finalist in the SOUNZ Contemporary Award it's reassuring to know that, you know, it's a good measure of from my peers of the substance of my work. So it's just amazing. I've heard Rain Phase on the SOUNZ website, and that's an extraordinary work. It's got a magical opening, and it shifts very, very subtly from one sound world to another sound world. I taught Selena in her first year at Canterbury, and it was very clear she had an enormous talent. It's a fantastic and very, very strong work. I haven't heard Ken's work at all, no. But I know Ken because we were both at Canterbury University. I don't think at that stage composition was actually taught, so there were other subjects, but it was very clear he was writing music of an incredibly high standard back then. Christchurch has done well, which is good, because sometimes down here we feel we're a bit maybe left out of Wellington and Auckland, so it's good. I'd like to also, I think, pay tribute to the CSO, because down here we've had a rough time with the earthquakes, and it's very, very difficult to find a venue where an orchestra can play. And Gretchen and her team have worked incredibly hard, and they've found a venue in an old aircraft hangar out of Wigram. And the acoustics aren't too bad, but it's not a concert hall at the same time. But there's another extraordinary feeling about going to a concert there, because there are all these planes from the 1940s and even earlier hanging in the space, and it's an extraordinary feeling to be part of that. And I think it's wonderful that Gretchen and her team have done so well to keep the orchestra going and keep it going as strong as they have. It's an extraordinary feat, and I think there are many, many other institutions which haven't survived the earthquakes quite so well. Perhaps because Gretchen is a very special person and has insisted on high quality music and high, as best she can possibly put on. So it's fantastic that she's done that. and she deserves a lot of accolades for the amount of work she's done.